And we are live. WrestlePurists Podcast, episode 115, I believe. Hosted by myself, Charlie, and Joe Hulbert. No AO today. He's been off for a couple of days, man. He wasn't on the Dynamite watch along last night either. But yeah, just us three today. The weekly AEW Dynamite review. And that is what this primarily will remain, the AEW Dynamite review. But that being said, of course, we will not, ignore the bombshell of the lawsuit that has come out today. So, a lot to get into. A lot to get into. I said yesterday that it's been quite a mad week for wrestling, like with showing no signs of it slowing down. But today, obviously, it took quite a, you know, downright disturbing turn, to be honest, with the latest lawsuit filed against Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis. But we've got a lot to get into. But like I said, AEW Dynamite review is that is the main agenda for these Thursday shows. So again, we're not going to ignore the you know we're not going to ignore of course, the big news and stuff like that. But we're not going to, we aren't exactly experts or professionals that really are kind of equipped to, break down this or give any hot takes or anything like that. I don't really think this is the place for that. But like I said, we're going to get into it all, of course. But yeah, doing a quick rain check, see how everyone's doing. Joe Hulbert, how are you doing today, mate?
I don't know really, mate. I'm not really sure. I honestly don't know at this point. It's been quite the day. To continue that trend, I don't really know the correct way to handle something like this on a show such as this. We're going to try our best here tonight, folks. Please do bear with us. Um, but yeah, this is the least important part of the story, so I want to make it clear now because it doesn't matter what this does to fans. Like it's bigger than that, but it's a pretty disgusting day to be in love with this art form. I think it's fair to say. So, and we have a
Yeah,
lot of those, unfortunately. But yeah, this was one for sure.
yeah, a very dark cloud cast over the day today. But yeah, quite deflating, isn't it, Charlie?
It sure is. It's been a difficult day to be any sort of fan of wrestling, and even calling myself a fan of wrestling doesn't really feel right now. But yeah, I will say anyone that's like been affected by this, like by this news coming out and seeing any of it, I hope you're all doing okay. Like, you don't need to know every detail of this case because it is frankly fucking vile. Like, anyone that's read through any of it, like, I hope you're doing all right and you've taken the time away that you need, because of this is bigger than all of us. And I just hope that the woman affected by this and any woman that's been affected by any of this is able to find peace after all. So
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we'll kind of go through the main, like a summary of what the lawsuit is for those who haven't, like, looked, even aware of what's going on, which I'm sure isn't many people. But we're not, as Charlie said, we're not really gonna get into like the details of it because some of them are just straight up like depraved, bro. Like, we're not trying to like break that down and what's your take
Right.
on this disgusting thing that's a like. I'm not trying to do that right now. But um. I guess just dive straight into it. So a lawsuit was filed against WWE, Vince McMahon, and John Laurinaitis on Thursday today. The plaintiff, a former WWE employee named Janelle Grant, alleges she was the victim of physical and emotional abuse, sexual assault, and trafficking at WWE. Grant is the former WWE employee whose secret $3 million settlement with McMahon led to him being investigated by the WWE Board of Directors in 2022. The lawsuit alleges Grant felt pressured into a sexual relationship with McMahon due to threats he would use his legal resources against her if she did not. Vince McMahon's demands became more disturbing throughout the relationship, such as expecting her to engage in sexual encounters with other employees. It is alleged that McMahon promised a sexual encounter with Grant to a wrestler, which was reported by Wall Street Journal to be Brock Lesnar during contract negotiations in the summer of 2021. The lawsuit alleges that Grant tried to stop the physical encounters, but McMahon refused. The lawsuit also alleges that Vince McMahon took over medical and sent her to a doctor that he chose. The lawsuit also alleges that he relentlessly pressured her into signing the NDA for money which he did not pay the full amount of. The lawsuit also alleges that an internal probe into the investigation by WWE was a sham, and Miss Grant was never approached about it, even though it was known that she would cooperate. The lawsuit is, it's a very lengthy 67 page, very, disturbingly detailed lawsuit,
yeah.
which includes text messages or screenshots by Vince McMahon, which are just depraved, bro. Like, just depraved. Again, not trying to get into the details. If you know, you obviously know what they are, and I'm sure you know that I'm not, underselling it. So, just TKO have put out a statement saying that they're looking into it internally. A spokesman on behalf of Vince McMahon has put out a statement denying the allegations in the lawsuit. And obviously it's still a story that's unfolding before our eyes right now. So that's another reason why not to get to dive too much into it, other than the fact that we don't really feel kind of rightfully equipped to do so. But just disturbing, man. Just not. It's just not what you want to see. Like, we all knew. Like, I was speaking to my girlfriend about it because, like, I was literally, like, just with her. I spent most of my evening with her tonight. And when she was like, "Oh, how's work been today?" And I was like, "Well, this Vince McMahon lawsuit." And she was like, "Oh, it's not surprising, is it?" And, like, the level of, like, how disturbing it is reading through the lawsuit, like, even for Vince McMahon, who we all knew was already, like, an alleged rapist and alleged this, alleged that, like, he was already kind of, like, bottom of the barrel. But in going into the details of this was genuinely quite
I agree.
shocking,
Yeah.
and like I said, depraved, disturbing. There isn't words to kind of describe it properly,
Yeah, it's I think we all, our opinion of him in particular, and the story is bigger than him. I think it's worth noting, but the story, our opinion of him in particular, is low enough that it takes a lot, I think, to rattle us in terms of things he has done. But this, I think, managed that, which says a lot about kind of how severe it is. I mentioned that in passing, and because we're not going to spend long on this, I do want to note that it is really important to consider the culture surrounding him, and how important it is that folks ask those questions, because I think it's there's one guy here that I think will be the center of the story, and rightly so. He deserves all that and more, but it is bigger than him, as you kind of got into there with your summary of it. So I just think that's worth noting. But yeah, it was a revolting read, and managed to like stun me as someone who thinks nothing of the people involved. So yeah.
It's if you thought that your opinion of Vince McMahon could get any lower, if you thought it couldn't get any lower, I think today definitely would have tested even the most stubborn with that stance, But yeah, Charlie, as a woman in the wrestling space, we all know it's kind of an awkward thing to navigate, But when stories like this come out of kind of, as Joe mentioned, like the culture surrounding some of the most, the most powerful, well, not right now, because of course, like Ari Emanuel, you would say, is the most powerful person in wrestling, know. But, someone such a prominent figure in wrestling having this sort of culture around them, I'd assume it can be quite scary,
It is. It's fucking terrifying. Like, it's not only scary, like, being a woman in wrestling, but, like, you fear for Vince is in his 70s. Like, this is, like, decades worth of stuff that could have been going on. And I don't think this lawsuit even scratches the surface of victims that could be involved. And it's absolutely terrifying just thinking of, if this was broken today, like, what else could come out in the future about Vince, about John Laurinaitis, about Brock Lesnar, about all the other people that have been named in this. I'll bring them up. I don't give a fuck. Like, there was someone in chat that made a comment that kind of grated on my nerves, but it's absolutely terrifying.
Named him anyway, that's the worst part.
Yeah, no, I do. I know. And that's why I brought it up again. Just so people are very aware of the fact that we will name all of the people involved. And we're not going to protect any of them because they're all fucking scumbags. But it's fucking terrifying. And being a woman that's like any part of this industry, it's just, you never want to see things like this. And seeing it from someone as powerful as Vince McMahon, and seeing the lengths that he would go to allegedly to like keep all of this covered up, it's horrifying. It's genuinely horrifying. And I just, like I said earlier, I just hope that Jeanette can find peace after being brave enough to be able to speak out about this so candidly in that lawsuit, because of the details and evidence she gave were just fucking horrifying. So I just hope for the best for her out of all of this, truly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Joe touched on it, it's more than just Vince. Like it's just very disturbing. Vince, John Laurinaitis, Brock Lesnar is named by Wall Street Journal. Referees that weren't named that apparently were involved in like the sharing of images and all these kind of things. Like there was executives that knew. Of course, it's mentioned in the lawsuit the sham of an investigation into Vince McMahon when the allegations were first coming up. So obviously everyone who's involved in that, look, there's a whole list of names, some of them we know of, some of them we don't know of, But yeah, WWE as a company, Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis were named in the lawsuit. It was, I guess most would definitely assume that it was Brock Lesnar that's referred to as the WWE wrestler, but he's not named in the lawsuit, I don't believe. I'm not 100% sure. Not really trying to read the 6-7 pages again, but I believe it's Wall Street Journal. But people believe that it was Brock Lesnar, and it's it's all just disturbing. Like I said, I'm not trying to I'm not really the person I think is the person to come to kind of like break it down detail for
It's
detail.
hard, man.
Is not what I'm trying to do.
It's I'm a firm believer in like these stories shouldn't. How do I put this? I don't think we should be rushing to provide distractions from these stories because they are that important and they are that severe. But it's like I don't know the best way to tackle it on a show like this, really. So it's kind of from this point we're gonna kind of do our usual show, and I apologize to anyone who thinks that's the wrong way to handle it. I don't know the right way to handle it. Like it's difficult.
Yeah, it's more like we said, like I said at the top of the show, AEW Dynamite review. That is what this Thursday slot is. That's what this show primarily will be. But obviously, it would just be can't just jump in. Like, hey guys, what's going on? AEW Dynamite review when news such as this is out there. So of course we're going to touch on it, but at the same time, we don't feel like we are the people to be like picking it apart. It's still all coming out. Like Vince McMahon and a spokesperson, his lawyer, whoever it was, have just came out with like denial. Like that's literally within the past hour.
Right.
So it's all still unfolding and whatnot. But very disappointing. The details are very disturbing. I wouldn't recommend anyone reading it up, to be honest.
Don't. I don't think a lot of people should read it. I know it's out there and people are going to want to, and I applaud anyone that wants to know all the full details on it, but I don't think it's necessary for a lot of people. Protect your mental health in this case. Just knowing the bare bones is okay. Like, I promise you don't need to know all the details on this one because it's disgusting. We really cannot put into words how vile it really is. Like, it just got worse and worse the more you read.
And in the same vein, anyone who after the day that it's been in professional wrestling that isn't rushing to hear us talk about an episode of wrestling TV, we understand that too. It's that I think that's like important. And, it's also I want to know that we talked this through just before we went live. I was messaging Charlie earlier in the day because like it's when you say like I know Charlie, you've been doing this for a couple of years now, right? Maybe a year and change, and it's like when you jump into these things of like I'm going to do some wrestling podcasts, it's like wrestling should not be tasking you of talking about things like this. It just really shouldn't. It's awful. So I wanted to see where everyone felt, and that's kind of how we're going to approach this, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess going forward, hopefully, internally TKO do a proper investigation and stuff, and you'd assume that Vince McMahon, judging off this lawsuit, it's enough to get him out of there, and more, to be honest, criminal charges, any of those things as well. But yeah, from a TKO standpoint, very obviously damaging to them and WWE as a company. Could be absolutely catastrophic. Well, it already is catastrophic, to be honest. But yeah, it could fall even further, And of course, Royal Rumble this weekend. Definitely not doing the Royal Rumble prediction show tomorrow. It's not really. Don't really feel the time to wonder who Joe Hulbert thinks is going to be the surprise entrant at 30 or whatever the fuck, But yeah, there's obviously with the Royal Rumble, that means that there is still chance that the press conference is going ahead. I don't think it's been announced that it's been cancelled or anything as of yet. And, we don't have any representatives going to the Royal Rumble, unless someone's sneaking there that I don't know of, which would be quite problematic. But yeah, this Vince McMahon lawsuit should be pretty much the only thing that's asked about, really, to be honest. And what their plans are, what they knew, what they didn't know, and what their official stance is. And even if it's just asking questions which say no comment on, no comment on, no comment on, no comment on, you still got to ask the questions, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, hopefully it's not another embarrassing press conference for wrestling media,
I can only hope.
So we'll see, It's always those press conferences are always like. So we had the AEW one recently, and it felt like it was almost like a divide in the room. Like there was like only a small section of people in that room that wanted to ask the questions that people really wanted to know about regarding like the Chris Jericho stuff. Um, it's just weird how like it's almost like some of that room, even though they were claiming to be media and stuff, were like oblivious,
Mhm.
with like the way they were asking questions and stuff. So, um, I guess we'll have to wait and see what WWE's official answers are, if we get any of them, if people are asking the right questions, because there's a lot of questions to ask. There's a lot, So
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know if there will be, but it's like, yeah, we'll see.
we'll see. We will see. But yeah, man. Some other news as well, which has kind of been lost in all of this, because it's very understandable. This kind of takes over any sort of cycle of wrestling news. It doesn't matter what's
Mhm.
happening, when something this level comes out. But since we are covering the news, we'll go right into the news, I guess. WWE officially released Kevin Patrick. I know he got removed on SmackDown commentary, that got reported, etc., etc. And then it was reported that Michael Cole would be replacing him on on this Friday SmackDown. But it was still kind of up in the air. Like, are they going to keep him for backstage interviews? Are they going to do this with him? Are they going to do that with him? Are they going to keep him for the bump or something? I don't know what people were thinking, but unfortunately, they're not doing any of that with him because, according to BW Insider, Kevin Patrick has been released. And Joe Hall, but do you think he will continue in wrestling, or do you think he'll just go back to kind of doing his sports commentary gigs? What do you think?
Probably the latter. I'm told he's quite good at football, and obviously he's successful in that. He didn't seem to translate very well to wrestling, right? Like, I mean, it was kind of whenever I tuned in, it was an issue. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure he'll be sticking in wrestling. It wasn't a natural fit from my experience anyway. Yeah.
Charlie, did you ever? I know you don't watch WWE Weekly. I think that's quite an understatement. But are you at all familiar with KP's commentary?
I've heard him on commentary a few times, but he never really stuck out as anything special to me. Hope he lands on his feet.
Yeah, of course. That's always the hope whenever anyone
That's
gets
about
released.
all I have to add to this. I really am not that familiar with him. I know he exists. I know that he does football stuff on the side, and that's probably going to be his main thing again now. But yeah,
Yeah,
all the
we'll
best
see.
to
We'll
him.
see. I wonder who the long-term replacement is, because I guess all indications would point that Mark Cole is just stepping in for like this week.
Mhm.
So we'll do this Friday. Might do next Friday, and the Friday after that. Well, apparently that doesn't seem to be the long-term decision. I know Ibu on the Raw review, I think it was. He was saying, get Mauro Ranallo again.
Feels like
Get
Moro to me. Yeah. I know,
Is that?
I actually
King.
like
Oh,
Moro. He's very polarizing, but he's the Showtime Sports thing just went down, right? Showtime a rep now, so I assume that would make sense. But yeah, I don't know.
Mm.
Moro is my guess, but it's always hard to guess for these things because I don't you know, like I wouldn't know who Kevin Patrick was before Adnan Virk or whoever else. So it's always difficult to pull these names they go for.
Yeah, I'm not
I'm
entirely
not
sure
sure
who
how
to
I
go
feel
for.
about bringing Mara back. Then again, I don't watch, so it doesn't really affect me. But he was certainly interesting in NXT.
Yeah, I have friends that would be thrilled by that, and friends that would be very upset by that. So it's,
Yes.
that's kind of Moro's style. I liked Moro, but I definitely get it.
I mean, whether he's great or terrible is very much person to person's opinion, you know. But one thing I will say is that he brings a lot of energy to the shows that he commentates on. So, you know, let's see him and Corey Graves. You know, I don't know.
I think that's
I
I think that
don't
was
know, man.
I think that was an
I don't
issue. They're gonna
know,
have to
man.
switch some things up there. Yeah.
They're going to shake up the commentary team for like the 6th time this year.
What about someone? I can't remember who it was, so I can't shout them out. But someone on Twitter suggested Titus.
Titus would be a great color commentator. I just don't know. They need a play-by-play.
Yeah, but you
guy, right?
mix things up. I don't know. Titus and Cole. I don't know. Titus and Cole. Then you do.
I'd like Titus to
I
be
don't
on.
know.
Yeah, I'd like him to do
Figure
the
it out.
gig.
What AEW do? Just do like a 4-man booth. You know.
You think they may promote Vic? I mean, Vic had the shot on Raw like years ago, and then he got back to NXT. What do you reckon?
I don't know. I don't know with Vic, man, because who then does NXT, bro? Like,
I don't know. It just feels like he's got to get promoted at some point, right? Like
because
he's
Booker T's your partner on NXT, bro. And it's like
Vic.
Vic has worked hard to build that relationship. You know what I mean? Because I remember watching that relationship in the early stages, and it was like they did not have any sort of like chemistry at all. Vic almost sounded annoyed by Booker T at times, and Booker T just thought he was like he was just some guy that he was sat next to at times. And now they've actually got, they've got a nice little bit of chemistry going now. The partnership's building. People seem to enjoy Vic a lot. So much so that people want him to do this SmackDown gig. But I would worry quite heavily about who's going to do NXT because
I saw someone on
T,
Twitter say that they should make a play for JR right now because he's still not got an AEW contract. And I was just like, bro, he doesn't even do a full AEW show at the moment. You want him to do 2 hours of SmackDown? Like, what are you talking about?
Do you think that's in play, Joe? JR? It's WWE.
I think it's in play as like a Legends contract who doesn't match at WrestleMania. I don't think it's in play as the full-time play-by-play guy of SmackDown, but I mean, I could be wrong. I think that would be an insane task for him, considering what he's been doing the last few years of like third man.
It was Ibu that said that. Shocked. Why am I not surprised?
Ibu, I mean, yeah, he loves him from Jim Ross, which I co-sign, but it's him leading a broadcast on network TV sounds like a terrible mistake. But
yes.
Probably be funny.
Also,
So.
some people have speculated
I think
about
Tom Phillips. Doesn't he do TNA now?
Yeah.
Tom Honeyfun or whatever his name is, his shoot name. But yeah, there's been some speculation. I think Ibu was speculating that like, maybe his contract's up and WWE knows something and they might make a play to bring him back. I don't know. But you got Ronaldo as well. You got JR, who, he's been pretty open talking about his contract negotiations with AEW and Tony Khan on his podcasts and stuff. So I'd actually, it'd be quite funny if that was the case for him just to go back to WWE, but who knows, weirder things that definitely happen. But yeah, I think those are the contenders, really, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think
unless
Jim
it's
Ross is very much an outside contender, I think.
Yeah, unless it's someone else from real sports that they pull over. They're always looking kind of, well, they used to. I don't know if the new regime will approach it differently, but generally they would always look outside of the box for those things.
Well, John Anik has implied that he might be sick of the MMA space, so John Anik is tremendous. I know it's a different sport and stuff, but he's
yeah, I think he'd struggle with SmackDown, to be honest. Not having
hey man, talent's talent.
They put William Regal back on TV. Throw him on commentary for a few weeks, even if he's just guest spotting. It could be funny.
Yeah, Kevin Patrick, though, man. God bless him. I hope he, I hope he lands on his feet. That's
Yes.
pretty standard. All right, elsewhere in the news, Sports Illustrated WrestleMania report. Interesting stuff, Joe and Charlie. Interesting stuff. So, of course, some people know that there was a report put out yesterday by Sports Illustrated that basically had some spoilers for the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania plans, which involved Gunther winning the Royal Rumble, going to WrestleMania and defeating Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk and Cody Rhodes being the direction for WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes not finishing the story. Roman Reigns and The Rock, just all this stuff, and there was quite a lot of head scratching on our show yesterday. Me and Ibu were just kind of got baffled by all this. But yeah, anyway, in a correction, Sports Illustrated Justin Brasso put out. I reported spoilers for Sports Illustrated yesterday regarding the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 40. I reported what was detailed to me by previously reliable sources. It appears this was a deliberate attempt at misinformation or misinformation that is being spread throughout WWE itself. I apologize for the errors in yesterday's report. When posting these reports, the entirety of the information needs to be accurate.
Just
Wow.
that whole thing was insane. Yeah, that
Wild.
story always read strangely, and having a 1 day later having a follow up of that is pretty fitting.
Yeah.
An insane chapter of wrestling news cycle there. I don't know.
It was just, I had not slept really yesterday, and then I went to work on no sleep, and then I came out of work and saw that, and I was like, what the fuck is going on today?
Yeah.
It was one of the first things I saw when I opened Twitter after finishing work, and I was like, well, Mania's fucked. It was a very reactionary tweet. But yeah, kind of wild that they protracted it 24 hours later, pretty much. So
yeah, man. But at least Justin's held his hands up a bit, because there's there's a lot of scoops, especially in wrestling media, bro. A lot of scoopsters who would just kind of let it play out, and be like, I don't know, plans change, brother.
Definitely.
And that might, I know people may think that might have been a subtle shot at Dave, but it wasn't.
No, that's generally what their approach would be. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. It was weird. We talked about yesterday, you and I, Monty, about it just read strangely. It was
it was very bold. It was very bold. Like I said, it was very weird. Me and him spoke about it a lot. Kind of just the wording and the phrasing, just how much was in it, bro. If you're saying Gunther's name has been brought up in creative a lot recently about potentially winning the Royal Rumble, that's one thing to put out, But the way it was worded yesterday was Gunther, there's a new plan in place. Gunther's winning the Rumble and he's going ahead and beating Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And it's so you just give us the winner of the Rumble and the winner of the World Title match at Mania. That's a lot, bro. I don't know how WWE would leak that out, So obviously there was quite a lot of head scratching there, especially with it being Sports Illustrated, bro. It's Sports Illustrated, it's not like it's fucking some random unreputable outlet, it's literally Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
I know they've faced a lot of criticism recently, of course, like I mentioned yesterday, the mass layoffs and them getting caught out doing AI generated articles with AI authors and shit. And obviously, unfortunately, now this will be, people, the perception will be this is another kind of a blemish on their record as an outlet, really. And I like Sports Illustrated, man, so it's not been a great week for them in terms of, from a wrestling perspective, because we've seen that they're having mass layoffs, we've seen the AI article thing, because that was just big general news, and now them having quite the howler here, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's kind of the least of their concerns in the grand scheme of things, right? But it's yeah, it was really an odd little scene there that kind of it kind of took over the timeline yesterday, and it was not a thing. It was strange. I mean, it got people talking, certainly, but it never quite added up for the reasons we just discussed in terms of the way it was phrased and laid out.
Yeah, Charlie.
Very well.
It was quite a weird day on the All Happies.
Yeah.
I know today probably definitely trumped it, but yesterday in terms of actual wrestling, this was it's quite the bombshell of a report, and now just for it to be taken back is quite. Even that in itself is a lot,
Yeah, the fact that it wasn't even just a case of, oh, we might have got a few details wrong. They were just like, yeah, the whole article's just fucked, ignore it. And I was like, Fez, stand on your ground at least. Like, you've held your hands up and admitted it. So, very well. They got me, though. Like, I am blaming the lack of sleep, but they really got me with that. I was just like, well, sick one.
Yeah, well, it was Raw did. That was what Raw kind of signaled, even if it wasn't something that we took seriously and just it was like a decoy. It was so. Yeah, it was easy to believe. It's just when you read the story itself, it came across slightly strange.
Yeah,
very, very much so. Well, hey, man, I keep telling you, bro, that Backle Hangman, that fraud. Like, yo, I'm not flinching, bro. I'm standing stubborn on my ground, 10 toes, standing on business. And he's meant to be the big Cody fan. You get me? Like,
yeah.
I'm not mad if Dwayne wants that main event. Like Cody's, Ibu, sorry, would be distraught if that's the case. I'd still pop for that match graphic of Dwayne Roman WrestleMania Night 2 main event. Although I would be, I would be somewhat disappointed for the boy Cody Rhodes. Feels like it's a spot he deserves, but when Dwayne comes knocking. It's just one of those things. But yeah, man, Ibu's very sensitive, even though he's the biggest fan of the Cody Rhodes and the Punks of the world. If he's got an excuse to start flinching and panicking, he can be quite embarrassing, can't he, Joe?
You can, yeah.
He can.
It's very atting people on the timeline and such. He can be, but I understand it. The reason he's so nervous is because he's so invested. That's the thing. Couldn't be me, but God bless him, he cares.
Yeah,
so he's not. He is very much flinching. So we'll see if he should be or not. I guess.
Regarding Cody Rhodes, the same report, Sports Illustrated said that while there has been speculation that Cody Rhodes has not signed a new contract with WWE, there are multiple people within the company who believe that he already has. Guess we'll have to. It's always interesting that is because it's like now it will come up. The question is like, when did Cody Rhodes and has Cody Rhodes signed his new WWE contract? Because
there's been debate on that for a while, right?
Yeah, but like the first report that came out was like I can't remember who it was. It's obviously one of the PW Insider or Fightful or Dave or something. It's like he signed the contract. Like he's got a new deal. Cody signed a new deal. Then it was reported by another outlet like, now he's agreed the terms to the deal, but he ain't signed it yet. And now obviously this from Sports Illustrated is a little bit of both. Like with people, it's it's interesting. That's a big contract that they're gonna want to lock down, especially if he's your WrestleMania main eventer. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, not sure. It's interesting the kind of mixed reporting. I wonder why that is and what's the kind of balancing act there. I'm intrigued. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm taking it all with a pinch of salt at the moment. That's basically what it is. All right, so that's the Cody Rhodes, the update on the Sports Illustrated report. Kevin Patrick, the very unfortunate news at the top. All right, so our usual programming, I guess. First 30 minutes or so, usual programming. So, welcome to the AEW Dynamite WrestlePurists review. Everyone's favourite weekly AEW Dynamite review. No AO today, as I said at the top of the show.
Once he's broke his mic. We're in for a night here.
I've got a mute button on the top of my mic and I touched it by accident.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. AO will be fine, is what I was saying. Alright, AEW Dynamite review, WrestlePurists. We're here. We're gonna do First things first, please like, subscribe, send any super chats with any questions, any takes, any opinions. Try and keep them to AEW Dynamite and stuff of a more light nature if possible. I can very much gather that most of you, I assume, are disgusted by the big news of today. Yeah, we're not really trying to deep dive into it, so don't really want 1,000 questions about it either, you know. But at the same time, everyone's open to give their opinions, and I don't want anyone to think that they're not open to give their opinions unless it starts a toxic influence in the live chat or something. None of that bullshit, you know.
Just don't use it for bits.
Don't be a
That's
prick,
the thing.
you know.
Yeah.
Don't be a
Do
prick.
not like we do. There's a lot of bits in our chat and stuff, and that's all well and good. But like, do not use this story for bits, please, God.
All right. So, speaking of which, I'll get to the super chats that we have very graciously been sent already. We've only got a few, but yeah, man, let's get into them. So, Jizzle, $5. Appreciate you as always. Every wrestling company needs zero tolerance policies for even the appearance of impropriety around sexual misconduct claims as transparent as possible. Yeah, man. Obviously, whatever helps create the safest environment possible for workers, fans, anyone involved in these wrestling companies. WrestlePurists for Brizio Romano. Top scoops during the game, $5. Breaking WWE tapping up Michael Owen to take over commentary duties for SmackDown. Sources say they expect him to be unbridled and to bring unbridled energy to the job. Hey, man. Don't really think that's the.
I don't think it'd be a natural fit for wrestling, but I'd like to see him try.
Will Chisholm, $5. Appreciate you as always. It felt like that Sports Illustrated report was going to say Gunther hits Seth with 5 power bombs and win. I mean, he did say that he literally said, plain as day, Gunther's going to win the title from Seth McMahon. But this wasn't like the report part of it, but later on, it like alluded to like he might squash Seth for the belt as well. So it's like, it was a lot, brother. Will Chisholm again, $5. Appreciate you again. People not knowing if Cody got a new deal or not feels like so Cody. It does.
Yeah.
It's only natural, you know. It's only natural, but
plays the
appreciate
game.
you. He does definitely play the game. But yeah, man, appreciate the super chats. Keep them coming, and AEW Dynamite, man. AEW Dynamite. Where was we? We was in Savannah, wherever that is in the United States.
Georgia, brother. Yep.
Georgia.
Savannah,
The host of Clash of the Champions 17, maybe 17, 19, one of those two.
Yeah, man. No. Going into the show, a lot of the AEW faithful.
They were a lot louder that night, I should note. In the back in 1991, I should note.
Yeah.
Well, times change, Joe.
They certainly do. Yeah.
Catch up, mate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was definitely going into the show last night. The AEW faithful was quite pumped up and fired up, man. Not just some interesting match announcements. We had Swerve versus Jeff. We had Trent versus Wardlow. We had, and of course, kind of like the big one everyone circled was Suzuki versus Copeland, which was just randomly announced on Collision. Everyone got fired up about it, and that was kind of the main thing people were looking forward to. Probably the most heavily promoted thing on the show as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of the headliner of the evening going in, and yeah, man, it was crowd,
It felt like on paper, like very much I don't even mean this as like a scathing criticism, but it felt like a filler episode, like a stopgap, and it absolutely viewed that way too.
Yeah.
And we discussed last week, if you're into the direction of a promotion, you're much more happy to excuse a 6 out of 10 show, right? We actually discussed this last week, and I think this was an example of that, because I don't think there's any reason to be doom and gloom about the show being a 6 out of 10 because you're into the direction. Well, I am anyway. Not everyone will be. But it very much felt like a kind of an exhale and we're going in this route, and these are some steps we're going to take along the way. which is fine. I haven't really got a problem with that. I thought it was a fine show.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think WrestleTix said the house was like 2,100.
Yeah.
And there was worries earlier on in the week, but they might not even hit 2K. So, you know, I'm not going to say this was a good house because it was far from a good house. But there was expectations earlier in the week, but it was even worse than it was going to be even worse than this. So,
yeah, and in terms of the crowd, like, look, the crowd did suck, but unfortunately, I do not talk about attendance much, but we have to be real. Like, if you draw that level of crowd regularly, sometimes they're not going to be louder than expectations.
Yeah.
You know, like they get sometimes. Like last week was not a big crowd, but that was a great crowd.
Yeah,
they're not always going to be great crowds. This sounded like 21. You know, this sounded like 2,100 in a 6,000 seat or wherever it was building. Also, and this is again, folks, let me be clear before we get into the show. Like, not absolutely none of this stuff matters on, especially on today, like whatever. But while we're talking about the show, Charlie and I were talking earlier about like some of the production choices are actively at odds with the houses right now in terms of some of the lighting choices and like the graphics on the. And it's like it makes for this weird contrast. I find personally, from like when you look at the house, it's so dark. But then surrounding the ring, it's like a twist set. You know, it's a weird marriage you got there, Charlie. We were kind of getting into this earlier, right? It's a weird thing.
Yeah, it's very odd that they've got these fucking LED barriers now, and they're still not lighting the crowds properly. Even when they do have good crowds, because of like on Collision, the crowd, like the house was pretty good. They were still in the fucking dark, and the LED barricades, they really make this issue very apparent because all around the ring it's nice and bright and you can see everything, and then it's like there's like 7 people in the crowd that you can actually see, and it's like, well, I'd like to think there's a few more people.
Yeah, it feels like the wrong direction to be going in.
Yes,
when you've got those. Yeah, but it is. I don't know. Maybe that's just you and I that are feeling that way. I'm not sure.
Maybe we just prefer gritty wrestling. Like we just like
maybe. I was going to say Clash of the Champions wasn't lit like this.
Oh dear.
But yeah, again, I want to be clear. I still thought the show was fine. Like it was stuff I enjoyed on the show. So
yeah, I had fun with it. It's just
it was compared to the shows. You know, for this we've got this thus far this year. It was definitely like a all right. Let's just chill out a little bit, take it easy this week. That's what it felt.
I've been feeling this week that January's just been like the longest month of my life, and it felt like Dynamite kind of felt that way as well.
I'm doing these match guides, and I keep writing like of 2024 thus far because it feels like I've reviewed 100 matches already. It's January. I'm like, what am I even saying by saying it's one of the best matches thus far? It's like this shouldn't be impressive, but there has been a lot of great wrestling. Yeah, this month has been a wild month for wrestling inside the ropes, let alone all of the the many things going on outside of it. So, yeah,
man. But yeah, let's dive in. Like I said, interesting crowd and production choices were made here, but nonetheless, we opened up with Samoa Joe. The big man is back, our world champion. Good start, dripped out in a blue suit, white shirt. You get me? He's looking professional, bro. So yeah,
he came out and my dad goes to me. He put down his slice of pizza, Dynamite had begun, and he goes,
serious.
He goes, just superb, and I said, fucking right, he is. Just superb. That's the best analysis I've ever heard from someone in the whole family. Yes. I said, yeah, correct, superb. But yeah, he looked cool, and then he cut up. The crowd was. This is when you knew the crowd was going to be interesting. Because they were doing the Joe chants, and they sounded like they were really into Joe. But when he would stop talking, it sounded like dead silent. And it was like, this is going to be an interesting night. He cut a short, but pretty lively, pretty good promo, and then the Hook interruption, which was a choice. Hook is, this was a pretty good indication as to why I think we haven't got many live promos from Hook. It's fine. He's very young. It's not a big deal. You got to learn. Taz was not a natural promo. They always talk about Paulie having to pull that out of him. When he got out of him, he became a great promo and a great commentator. It took a while. He was embarrassed to cut promos at one point. Hook was very awkward here. I think it's fair to say. So it kind of made the segment. It took the edge off a little bit. Charlie, what did you make of the opening segment?
I enjoyed it when Joe was just chatting, cutting his promo as he does as the real world champion. God bless Hook. You could when he walked out there, you could tell you were like, oh fuck, he's actually got to say more than like 2 words on the mic. And it wasn't much more than 2 words, but you could see he was feeling the pressure. That is like he's gotta go out there and do it live because there's no other way for him to learn in AEW because they've taken away the YouTube shows and all that. So it's gonna be a real. You've got to give him a little bit of breathing room, but doing it in a world title program is wow.
Right. And they're saying once you weird. Charlie and I talked about this over the last weekend on the Holbert House show. Cheap plug. They're in an interesting situation with Hook where they had to follow up, and I'm glad they did. But can his performance as a 2-year pro keep him in that level? You know, that's the thing to me. It's like, I think he's a talented young wrestler, a talented prospect. Is he ready to be living in a main event scene? I'm not sure, and we will see. Monty, what did you make of the opening segment now that I've apparently stolen the hosting for this 5 minutes? Go for it.
Need to know. I'm a fan of it. You know,
yeah.
I hope at taking the wheel, put my feet up. You know, it's just good stuff. You know, but yeah, man, Samoa Joe goes out there. You know, we have to give him thanks for bringing back the rankings. It was all down to him. You know, he sends out his warning shot to the locker room, and yeah, man, whoever does get that number 1 ranking gets that shot at Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's gonna deal with him. But yeah, Hook did come off quite awkward, man. It's like even the way he's holding the mic and that, he just didn't feel natural, you know? Yeah, it was like, last week, you won, I lost. It's just like...
It felt a little bit like a comedy skit. It was weird.
Yeah, like, after he said it, it was just like, okay. Like, you know? what was supposed to do with that, bro? And even when he pulled him in, and he was like, whatever it is that he said, like, I'm going to work my way back to... What did he say, Joe? He didn't say a lot, and I'm already forgetting.
It was something about, like, I'll get you next time, something to that effect.
Yeah, it was like, I'm going to work my way back up and something. They were basically just setting up for a rematch.
Yeah, which is cool. Like, I think, you know, having Hook rebuild to a rematch is great when it's not for the belt, and it won't be. Like, this will be something they do in the summer.
And Samoa Joe got security to get rid of him.
The best part about that was that Tony Schiavone goes, have you ever seen the world's champion get security to take away a wrestler? And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, it's happened on AEW, I'm pretty sure. Like, yeah, man. Like, Tony, you surely are aware of these situations. You've been at ringside for 4 years, you know? Like, but yeah, it was just... The way that the segment was placed and kind of put together, it was when it ended, it felt like something else was supposed to happen. It was it had an odd feel to it. It was strange. I think it hurt the opening match in a way because the people, I don't think they quite knew what to make of what they'd just seen. You know, so it was
confused. I thought Joe was going to keep talking after, and nothing happened. I was like, all right, well, I guess you're not finishing the promo you started.
Yeah, because Joe said, "Get him out of my ring." But then left the ring himself and just sat down. So it was like, it was kind of weird, but...
He did sit down at the commentary booth and
yes,
he was blessed. Those of us at home. Samoa Joe on commentary for the opener, which was Hangman Adam Page versus Penta. Pretty decent match. It went a little long in the tooth for me, if I'm being honest with you people. But yeah, I thought it was all right. I think these two, as talents, are capable of producing something quite a lot better than this. But for what it was, an opener on a weekly TV show, it was pretty decent, you know. Yeah, man. Hangman Adam Page, he's you'd assume he's going to be trying to climb pretty high up in these rankings when they get introduced next month. So, building his case, Joe Hulbert.
He is, and I'm pretty happy with where Hangman's at right now. I think he's in a good rhythm in there. I like the new look, the Magnum, you know, kind of vibe he's going for. it feels like, and Charlie's been talking about this for about 18 years now, but it feels like there's a heel turn looming here, right? It kind of feels like he may have to turn because he's in a triple threat program with 2 heels that are like getting cheered a lot. And I think, well, and that's fine. He's been on the promotion for 5 years, right? I mean, it is what it is. I think his work would be great as a heel. So I mean that always a positive. So Hangman, thumbs up. Penta. Listen, I own a Lucha Bros shirt. Penta has been the subject of many great action figures. Probably could do with adding a couple of different, just giving him these matches a touch more full. I think would be beneficial to everyone. Whenever he is in this spot on TV, it feels like is the exact same match. It is a fun match. People like Penta. They like doing his taunt and all the deal, and he does that funny walk that he does. But it's not a very interesting match when you've seen it as many times as I feel like I've seen it now. And that hindered this a touch for me. So let's throw him out on Penta.
It definitely was a Penta match in front of a crowd that didn't really get him revved up. So it was I could have done with it being a bit shorter, getting to the closing stretch a bit quicker, because that was the best part of the match. Understandably so, because they were like, yes, we're getting it wrapped up now. Let's go a little bit harder. But it was good for what it was. I did enjoy it because I like both Penta and Hangman. Hangman is getting clean, like his beard is getting closer shaven every week, so I fear eventually it's just going to be the mustache, and I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for that look, but if he's turning heel, it's a good way to start. And yes, I have been talking about that since about Wrestle Dream at this point, so but yeah, no, enjoyed it. I guess like the main takeaway is Hangman's beating notable names within the company, like when it comes to like his title chase in that, because of as much as how we feel about a Penta TV match, Penta is a big name in AEW. So
for sure, for sure.
So,
and if the heel turn happens, we should know you kind of have to do it within a double turn with Swerve, right? Now that would be hard to portray because Swerve actually broke into his house about 2 months ago. But wrestling is a weird beast, so you may have to. I mean, I don't know how you do this, but the idea of Hangman taking a heel route to victory at Revolution and having Swerve chase him, I do think is like kind of interesting. And that is very much at odds with my usual take on those two in terms of like, I actually like their dynamic as it is. I just think the crowd is leaning in a certain direction and it's like, you meant to embrace it. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
How about Samoa Joe retires at Revolution?
I'm with it.
How about that, Joe Hulbert? How about that?
I don't know if that solves our problem, but you can do that if you want.
It works for me.
Yeah, fine,
Listen, I'm not opposed to Joe holding the belt for a bit longer than Revolution.
Yeah, see.
Considering I'm really doubting how much the world title is going to be the main event of Revolution now. Like, keeping the belt on Joe, it's fine.
Samoa Joe could, potentially, he could potentially take the belt into the main event of Wembley this year. Just throwing things out there.
He's got to go and play the Killer Clown at some point, bro.
Does he?
Roman Reigns is part-time.
True. Everyone loves that. Good call.
I mean, hey, man.
Can you imagine Tony in a saying that? Like, Roman Reigns does it. Like, could you imagine?
God bless. Well, even if we kept the belt on Joe, it would mean that the Continental Classic winner, champion, Triple Crown, has room to step up and make that title feel the way we were all hoping it would feel, and not facing people out there.
This is
the ideas that
together right now.
We've sorted out. We've sorted it. Joe can stay champ. Eddie can be the main character. God bless.
So this is something.
I'm fine with it. I don't know if it's a good idea, but I'm fine with it.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, me too. We figured it out.
Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston, just the main people in the promotion, Eddie's your week
How
to
do you
week
guys?
guy,
This
Samoa
is
Joe's
so
the special
unrelated.
attraction.
Yeah, this is so unrelated to Dynamite. But how do you guys feel about Eddie Kingston going heel again this year? Because I kind of feel like it might happen.
I don't know about all this,
I
Charlie. This is
don't like it. I don't. It feels wrong.
So, Eddie Kingston's presentation has been very interesting as of late.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is that I need Eddie to start cutting promos again. I know he likes the bit where he tells the interviewer to go fuck themselves, but it's kind of unfortunate considering how good of a promo he is that he doesn't really cut sincere promos on the TV show. So I'm very hesitant on a heel turn. There's things that I would alter and shift. It's definitely, I'll say this to your point, Charlie, is he's definitely completed a big kind of chunk of his journey with the Triple Crown thing. The thing to me now is that I want to see him get a chance to have a reign that feels like a world title reign.
Yes.
And he won the Ring of Honor belt in September. And I think it's fair to say that he has yet to feel like a world title reign for obvious reasons. Now that he's won the Triple Crown, that's my main thing rather than babyface heel personally. We know he's a great heel, but they do love him. I don't know if he can turn Eddie. I'm not sure.
They do love him. It's just this has all come about because of that segment in the tag match where Brian got the crowd to chant, and Eddie looked so out of it. He was just like, "Fuck, this crowd really will turn on me, depending who's against me." I don't know. Yeah. It's I think maybe less of a heel turn and more Eddie just kind of losing his mind a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I also do think it's the way these things work. The more that a guy like him wins, there will absolutely be the percentage will expand in the audience of people that are ready for him to lose. It's just wrestling. It's not even not in a spiteful way. It's just when you become the status quo and you're the champ, people want to see a title change. That's the way wrestling's always been. So it may become an opportunity here down the line. The question really is though, is Eddie going to have a long reign? Right? I mean, if he's working Dragon again, then I'm not convinced, to be honest. So.
Yeah.
That's the big thing to circle, I think, for now.
Yes, indeed.
We'll see how it plays out with very much a WrestlePurist favourite, But yeah, back to AEW Dynamite. After Hangman and Penta, we had a backstage interview with Orange Cassidy. Cassidy's asked about his upcoming match at Revolution with Roddy Strong. And he said he'll take the match with Roddy, but it's 6 weeks away and he's going to keep on wrestling. And what did he call the match? The Fatal 4-Way.
Freshly squeezed.
Yeah,
there we go. The freshly squeezed 4-way. There's a freshly squeezed 4-way this Friday on Rampage. The winner will be challenging Orange Cassidy for the AEW International Title Collision. And in the 4-way is Commander, Vikingo, the Butcher, and
Kip Sabian.
Kip Sabian, yes. Kip Sabian, Butcher, and Vikingo, Commander. All right.
Apparently they don't have mid-card guys because I swear to God, all four of these people have had a shot at the belt before whilst OC's been champion. Or been in way in some way. What are we doing?
So have you guys seen the Rampage spoilers?
I haven't, but I don't care what it was.
So who do you want? Who do you guys want to win? I'll start with you, Charlie.
Out of those four? I guess Vikingo, but I doubt it.
Okay.
I guess Vikingo, yeah.
What about you, Hulbert?
The Butcher.
Pop. Obviously, please, no one spoil it for anybody else in the lore chat, but interesting.
Oh, no, I want to look it up.
Okay. I don't want to be, repetitive or redundant here, but this is kind of what we feared when we talked about it being at Revolution last week, right? It's do we need another month of Orange doing these defenses? He's obviously gonna win. Not really, but whatever.
All right, big business now, Charlie of WrestlePurists. I need your full attention.
Okay.
There we go. The Young Bucks enter the building.
Yes.
They are greeted by Alex Marvez. They were given a run sheet, which they looked at. happy with what they were happy with what they saw on the run sheet. Pointed out a banger or two, and they were just being busybodies, man. At one point, they walked up to Top Flight, asked them why they were late, even though they just got to the arena themselves. Top Flight were very confused. They were very condescending when talking to them, then fist bumped them, very confused, and yeah, man, the Young Bucks just they entered the arena and just kind of been. I'm still all in Joe Hulbert. I'm still all in Charlie. It's still working for me, Charlie. What did you make of it?
They're being EVPs. They've stepped up. They're taking their roles very seriously. Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. They're interacting with the younger talent. That did pop me quite a lot, actually, that they had this. They did the bit with Top Flight. And it was like, why are you late and why don't you have your lanyards or whatever the fuck they said? God, give them passport names, yeah. It's a good bit. It's a really good bit. But yeah, man, this is really working for me. I mean, it was going to anyways because of the Bucks and my boys, but it's very, very funny. They seem to be having a lot of fun with it as well, just being pricks on TV again. So, hey, man. And they're not overdoing it either. Like, they could have done like 7 of these segments throughout the night, but they didn't. They did this one, and then they did a little bit in the Sting and Darby promo. I had to think. Couldn't remember names there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, great guys. Great segment.
Yeah, I agree. I think again, this did the key thing for me, which is like it works on. If you don't know any of the stuff, like they come across like dicks and come across like heels, which is important. The heel heat can never be entirely reliant on like what you know. So I think they're doing a good job of navigating that thus far. This one had some pretty pretty funny lines, and I like the way the announcers put over. When they were mad about Top Flight being late, and the announcers they just got here. So that was well done, and I agree with you. Like, it's definitely something that you don't need to overdo. Because it's been 2 segments, and we already like completely get what they're going for. So it's. I assume, when do you think they're going to do this Top Flight match?
Ooh, I don't know if they're going to get in the ring before Revolution, to be honest, in terms of having a match. I think it would be good to see them have not a tune-up match because it's the fucking Bugs, but like see them readjust to working heel on TV. I think would be quite interesting, and Top Flight's a great team for them to do that against. Yeah, I don't know.
Also, Charlie, remember, the rankings are coming back.
The rankings are coming back. They've got to get that. They're going to need the wins, so they might just do those Top Flight and Private Party matches quicker than we think they might. So, also, Matthew's fucking facial hair. He's got a goatee now. Why?
The last time they were heel, Nick Jackson's facial hair would drastically swing from week to week. So it seems like Matt's going for it this time. Matthew, apologies.
They'll pull some strings. Yeah, they'll pull their EVP strings. I don't care about the rankings. They don't affect them. They're above that.
Absolutely. So according to the live chat, we've been having some issues with Super Chats, Joe Hulbert. Cody Wills said that he tried to send one early. It weren't letting him. Some people are saying having problems on desktop. Some people are saying having problems on mobile. But they are working, I guess, if you just try and, you push through. We have one here from Blefora, 1C, 199. Appreciate you. Joe versus Nick Nemeth at Forbidden Door. I'm all in, brother.
They're wrestling WWE. They must have, right? Let me investigate this for me.
The only time...
Get on it, Joe.
I think I was Googling this the other day. I think the only time they actually shared a ring was in a triple threat. And it might have been with Kofi Kingston. I cannot remember.
That was on the network special called Smackville. So you're correct. It was that. They did another one of those the following night on a house show, and otherwise it was Royal Rumbles or Survivor Series matches. So you're correct, Charlie. That's the only one that made tape was the Smackville. Smackville featuring matches such as Kevin Owens and Elias, Heavy Machinery and AOP. My God, dream match. Yeah, interesting. Is Monty froze, or was he just haunted by Smackville? There, you look terrified.
I think it was a bit of both, because I've been
Yeah.
the connection has been kind of so today, but yeah, it was a little bit of both, brother. I was frozen by what you were
Frozen
talking
in
about,
fear.
Heavy
stunned into
machinery.
silence.
Yeah. You heard heavy machinery versus AOP, and was like, well, hold on, let me fire up the network app here on that.
But yeah, man, Young Bucks just doing more of this character stuff. I'm all in on it so far. So far, so good. And next up on Dynamite, we have Wardlow versus Trent Beretta, and
They
Joe
sure had
Hawkins.
him out.
Fascinating. What was the
What was the
what was the
intention?
goal here? Yeah, because
I don't know.
they went 8 minutes, I think, but they didn't wrestle it in the way of like, let's have Wardlow have a good match with a guy who can go. That wasn't the way it was wrestled at all. It was like an extended squash, sort of, but it was stretched in a way that was not. It didn't like it kind of like limited how impressive Wardlow could be to me. On the bright side, he's doing that knee thing again that looks like it's like a coin flip on whether or not you live, which is cool. But I didn't understand. I don't know. It's like it wasn't. Let me be clear, folks. I'm not saying this was like a mechanically bad match. It was just like such a strange. I didn't know what they were trying to achieve with this. It was like they had a match where Trent got enough to kind of dilute Wardlow's dominance, but didn't get enough to have a good wrestling match that made the people go, oh, well, maybe Wardlow can have some good matches. Because I have no doubt Wardlow can have a good match with Trent, but that wasn't really what this was like trying to do to me. He kept hurling him out of the ring.
Yeah.
It was very strange. And I know they're doing the turn with Trent, which is fine, but I thought it was just a weird match, really. It was kind of puzzling more than it was bad. It was odd.
Yeah.
What do you think they were going for, Charlie?
I don't know. It just kind of popped me that they booked this the week after I predicted that Trent would replace Wardlow in the United Undisputed Kingdom. It felt like it went longer than 8 minutes. I was just like, they're still wrestling. Like it was, I don't know. It was just kind of there to me. It did. Trent's reaction after. What I thought was more interesting about the aftermath was Rocky's reaction than Trent's, because he seemed to be more on Trent's side than OC's, which I thought was very interesting. But yeah, the Undisputed Kingdom were there. Cole looked like a dickhead. He often does though, so I don't know. They wrestled.
Undisputed Kingdom is. I don't know. It just very much feels like an action show. It's a shame.
So you've just been hired. I'm talking strong hypotheticals here. Yeah. You've just been hired. Tony Khan, yeah. Tony Khan's just phoned you up. He said, "Yo, I've got a job for you. I'm more creative. You don't have to fly out. I'm just gonna text you and shit. Pays you a lot of money. You just got to deal with the shit he gives you. You are tasked with making this Wardlow thing work. What are you doing? Any suggestions?"
Probably flushing my phone down the toilet and running away.
No cop out answers, bro. I want a pitch involving Wardlow.
Let me be clear. So, are you saying as a main event talent? Because Wardlow can do stuff on the show, but are you saying as like make him as a main event guy?
Not necessarily a main event, but just something where you can say what you've done with him has worked. And considering the level he was at the end of after he just squashed MJF. He doesn't quite have to be, the main event of a pay-per-view or anything like that. But you would hope someone who was once at that level can at least have like a respectable upper mid-card. How do you make people care about Wardlow?
See, this is the thing. This is the key. This is important. Like, my response there is not, I'm not a huge Wardlow fan, but it isn't entirely a dismissal of him as a talent. It's more the fact that these things don't live in a vacuum, right? And it's like when you start booking him tomorrow, you're booking also the memories of how much of a mess it's been since the MJF feud. Like there's a lot there now. There's baggage there. And the obvious way to push him is something that we've already seen, and it worked to great success, but can you just reboot that? I have my doubts. I think maybe this is controversial, I don't know, but I think he'd be well advised to go away from the powerbomb. Simply because I think that would give him a chance to kind of start anew in terms of like perception. And I would try to kind of make him a feature in like those kind of Clash of the Titans matches, those 6 to 8 minutes, this length, but not this match layout. I'm talking about bombs, I'm doing like every cool thing he can do, pack it into matches, almost a kind of poor man's Mike Awesome approach, and that would be my probably my rough guess in terms of if I look at what he does well in the ring, he is very athletic, right? He can do some cool shit. He does a whisper in the wind, for goodness sakes. So I would try and pair him with guys that he could kind of do meathead matches with and see if the people connect with him again. I don't know if straight up squash matches is the way, but I know that this wasn't any better than that. So that's my first instinctual response is like meathead matches with kind of similarly athletic big men that you can hurl around and so on and so forth. Brian Cage, I was going to say Hobbs, but they had that very unfortunate program. The Dinosaur, and I'm talking. You got to earn your kill switch. You got to earn your money as an agent. Like you could put together a cool 6-minute Luchasaurus Wardlow match where they do every cool move in their arsenal. Like yeah. I know Keith's not around, but Keith Lee, same thing. I don't know who else. I'm trying to think of other big men. Miro, yeah, that would take another conversation. I don't know if I'm equipped to have. I would have him wrestle Satnam Singh.
God bless.
Yeah, there's some. I don't know. Charlie, what you got?
This is going to be, people are going to be like, well, of course she would say something about a tag team, but I genuinely think Wardlow working as a single star is like his main issue right now, because he walks out and people are just like, fuck's sake, it's another Wardlow singles match. Try and have him as the heater in a tag team for someone like really dynamic and fun, and like have him like come in, like he can still do his cool little spots, like the cool little spots. That's quite a patronizing way to put it, but like the swantons and all that sort of stuff, like he can still do that sort of stuff. But like pair him, like I just love big man and luchador tag teams, and Wardlow like at this point in his career, fuck it, experiment with something like that. I feel like it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think whenever you have a guy who has like cool offense but isn't dynamic enough to carry a true singles push, I think tag team's always a good idea, especially because you can find a partner that kind of helps his weaknesses, and brings some different strengths to the table. So yeah, I absolutely think that's worth getting. And again, I want to be clear here, like there's absolutely things for him to do on the show. Yes. The real question is like, what do you want to achieve with him? Like the idea of going to him as a world champion guy to me is like insane at this point. But lest we forget, Monty brought it up. I mean, it was not that long ago that he felt like he was destined to win that belt, right? He was so hot there for a minute. But that's where we've ended up now. It's very, very different. So yeah.
I was about to call out someone's comment in chat because that's the type of thing I was thinking about, and then I realized it was from someone with the screen name Snoop Dogg, and it made me laugh. But Braun Strowman Ricochet type tag team, that is exactly the sort of thing I would want.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly the blueprint. You kind of then in a tag team match, Wardlow would be a hell of a hot tag, because again he has offense, he's dynamic, he's explosive, so. I'll say this. I think there is reason to explore different things other than he is, in a weird dynamic with a heel who he wants to kill, but he's going to try and take advantage of him. I would avoid doing that again. So,
yes. Can't go to the well that many times.
Yeah.
Hey man, I don't think it works out for him, man, because it's been a battle. It's been a battle.
Sure.
We had a video package for Copeland versus Suzuki. The next proper segment was Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo sit-down interview, which was actually live. I thought it was going to be a pre-tape, to be honest with you. But it was live, hosted by Renee. And they, Deonna and Tony sat like each side of the ramp. And like, the way it was produced, it was like Tony Storm's side was black and white and Deonna's was in colour. A lot of people were popping for that. And they kind of like bickered back and forth. Tony Storm, I guess, kind of the main notable thing that she said was like, what was it? I think the quote was something along the lines of, I heard you've been body shamed a lot recently, which I think is ridiculous because there's so much more to shame about you. Some people found that very funny. Some people took offense to that, But of course, I don't think Deanna was blindsided by what Tony said to her, So, I think you can rest easy about that. But yeah, Peraza then. She got a pretty decent challenger promo. She's very confident in herself, talking about the history as friends, revealed that they both got matching ankle tattoos as well. Tony got triggered, kind of all spilled into drama. Luther got a boot to the face. Tony was put into an armbar. Mariah May kind of saved her a little bit, and Peraza left holding the title. Maybe a glimpse into the future, Charlie, of WrestlePurists.
I thought this was pretty good. The split screen is going to be for some people. It's not going to be for some. I thought it was quite funny because I literally said 30 seconds before, man, I hope they don't do this whole segment in black and white. And then they gave us the best of both worlds. So it is what it is. I like that they added more weight to this title program, and it's not just another. Because obviously, as people that watch wrestling, we know that there's history between them, but you have to put that on screen. So I'm glad that they did, and it's not just another. Well, I'm the new person in the division, so I'm going for the top title straight away, sort of thing. I thought Deanna did really good here. I think this is her best promo work in AEW to start to date. So yeah, I enjoyed it. The chaos after was pretty funny. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did you make of the seg, Joe?
Yeah, I liked it, and I also thought it was way better than I personally expected. I don't know what you guys were expecting, but I was kind of concerned about this, how this dynamic would work. And when it was live, I was, more so because I'm a Deanna fan, but I don't think of her as I don't think of her as a especially confident promo, but I think she's been good in AEW thus far, and she was really good here. I thought. She came across she totally belonged, was very polished, She presents herself like a star. I think she's done a hell of a job here in the first month of her run. Honestly, I think it would be really cool if she got this belt. I mean, I don't think she's going to, but I think Deanna would be a great way to kind of, with respect to the Timeless Tony character, which is a fun character, I think Deanna's a much more natural champion for a Mercedes Moné to work with because stylistically, I just think it's way more at home. It's way more easy to me to put that together. But again, that isn't going to happen. But for what she's been given, I think she's killed it, doing a hell of a job, totally belongs on TV, which again, I think speaks to kind of her experience as a main player on Impact, right? That's or TNA now, but you get so much experience from going to the TV taping and saying, I'm the centerpiece of this division. That does things to a wrestler's confidence that we can't necessarily, see until you see it in a different setting. You say, oh, she still feels it and she has that confidence. So it's great. She's doing a good job. Nice segment. One of the better things on the show, I think.
Yeah. You already kind of touched on it, but I was going to ask you, Deanna as champion, she looked good with the belt. I was thinking, I wouldn't be mad at this. I don't think it's a terrible pivot in terms of I don't think, especially with the timeless thing. I've spoke about it kind of at length multiple times, especially when she first won the belt, and even when the match got announced that she'd be challenging for the belt, Tony Storm. But I don't, it's not really like a world champion head of the division. Right. This is what we want to base the division off type of character. Although she was so popular at the time, I also can understand and concede that I can get why you would want to put the belt on her at the same time, but. That being said, I think with Toni Storm being as popular as she is, I don't really think, especially with the way this character is, I don't think it needs the belt,
Right. And the finish is right in front of you. If Mariah May costs Tony, then you spin off into a non-title program where Tony's the babyface and Mariah's the heel. And Tony should be the baby. They like Tony, Yes. And then Deanna can move on with the belt and have more traditional wrestling feuds.
Yes.
And even if she's just a transitional champ to Mercedes, it's I don't know. I would avoid at all costs. And maybe they're going to put Mercedes in a different slot. But if she's going to chase the belt, I would personally avoid having her sit opposite black and white Toni Storm and doing shtick. I think you should try and treat her as this pristine main event level talent. So again, I don't think any of this is going to happen, to be clear. But Well, it personally would be my preference. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
I do
agree.
think either Tony or Julia needs to drop their belts at the next pay-per-view for the sake of having a non-gimmick champion. And Julia hasn't been on TV recently, so
Yeah.
hope she's doing okay, whatever the reason is. But
Yeah, of course. We'll see how it plays out, We'll see how it plays out. John Moxley backstage segment. John Moxley's got he's got this thing lately where he just feels like threatening the entire roster,
no one's stepping to him yet.
Nobody is safe on the AEW roster and beyond from John Moxley. And yeah, man, he's set to face Lee Moriarty on Rampage this Friday. Let's see what Mox can get out of the kid,
Yeah, man.
Man, Moxley versus Lee Moriarty. Lee Moriarty's recent performance, like I know he can't. We spoke about this as well, like on recent weeks, Joe. But Moriarty's been like he came in as like a promising talent, and kind of in the glimpses that it seems that we only get of him now, because it's not like from when he came in, it's not like he went on to become like a TV regular that was pushed and focused on. He's kind of faded into the background for a lot of his time in AEW, and I think that's kind of been evident in some of his more recent performances. He just kind of looks like he's lacking a step and a little bit of conviction in his work, which is a shame to see kind of in a young promising talent, because of course he's definitely got he's more than capable of getting to like a very good level and achieving the promise that he showed when he first came into the company and when he was on the indies before he was signed. But yeah, man, I'm genuinely rooting for him to have like a good performance here against Moxley, because I don't think his recent performances have set the world on fire.
Yeah, it's it's all about, we just talked about the honor, right, and confidence, and all about for a young wrestler, especially or an inexperienced wrestler, being in a rhythm. I think the world of Daniel Garcia. I think he had some pretty shaky performances when he first got back on TV. Like, I didn't think he was particularly good in the MJF match. I think I want to say it was one of his first Continental Classic matches. And the reason for that isn't that Daniel Garcia isn't great. You saw very quickly why Daniel Garcia is special. The reason is because he was forcing it. He was trying too hard. He was trying to wrestle his way back into the headlines. He was trying to regain that momentum and perception that followed him into the promotion. That's hard when you're a young wrestler. So the best thing for Lee is at least he's getting another go over here. And I have no doubt if you see him get these opportunities for a few more weeks, I think you'll see his performances get better and better. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I think he's a Daniel Garcia level prospect, because I don't. But I do think Lee's very talented. And I've seen Lee have performances that like jumped off the page and was like, whoa. But I also think a lot of Lee's game is reliant on feel, and I think it's easy to forget when he got into AEW and when it was him, Yuta, and Garcia as these three kind of indie names breaking out, Lee was considered by a lot of us to be the one with the charisma, the one with the star appeal. And I think that is where you most see that he's not quite, where he would like to be, right? Like he isn't projecting the way he once did. And that's just a case of, unfortunately, some guys are going to be victims of how many people try to get on TV. And I think Lee has been. Yeah. Unfortunately for Lee, the couple different TV directions he was given through very little fault of his own did not pan out. The firm was supposed to be a big deal. The firm was very much not a big deal in execution, right? He had a tag team with Big Bill that was showing promise. I remember really liking the tag team with Big Bill. Bill was then pulled for the Ricky stuff, which great for Big Bill. But Lee then, again, it's like, so it's difficult. And he's working in Ring of Honor regularly. I tried to watch most of those matches. I say it before, the Darius Martin match, I was like, whoa, Lee looks as good as he ever has. And the next time I saw him, he looked a lot, he didn't look the same. Up and down, inconsistent. That's being a young wrestler, right? So rooting for him, very, very talented. Hopefully this match is a positive one.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Hopefully, like I said, rooting for the kid, Johnny TV, Taya Valkyrie, backstage segment. Taya Valkyrie called out Peraza, of course, assumably the number one contender.
Speaking of young wrestlers, they're trying to get back in the game.
Wait, we didn't even talk about the Mox promo because I got heat on Twitter for saying this. I don't know what you guys think that Mox is alluding to, but I think he's hinting at a potential match with Okada if Okada's coming in at Revolution. And everyone was just like, well, no, he's not. I was like, well, that's how it reads to me. Sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I like it though. I do like the direction of him just kind of like talking about an idea and letting the people guess.
Yeah.
And I think it's a nice way to just kind of simplify things and reset him a little bit. But I have no idea what he's talking about. I mean, obviously, as I mentioned before, I thought he was going to go for Joe as Joe's second TV
same.
title match. Doesn't seem to be, but
Mox versus Mercedes, yeah, absolutely.
a
That is the
match.
talent he's hinting at.
Someone said Ospreay as well, so
Yeah,
you know,
but I've
he's-
convinced myself that it's Ospreay involved in the Jericho verse. So
yikes.
yikes! Yes, indeed.
Anyway, next up, Swerve Strickland defeats Jeff Hardy. But yeah, man, Jeff Hardy, Swerve Strickland. No, they worked hard out there, you know. Jeff Hardy put his body on the line, brother. You know, I do worry about some of these bumps Jeff has been taking in recent weeks. I have to say, but you know, he's having some pretty decent performances, man. He's not setting the world on fire, but he's not embarrassing himself out there the past couple of weeks, has he, Joe?
Oh, I thought this went quite well. I also like, you know, I wasn't kind of rushing for a Jeff Hardy singles match on Dynamite, and I also thought this would be a pretty weird, like kind of clunky stylistic clash. But I thought Swerve did a hell of a job, like kind of making the most of Jeff's remaining game and like adapting some of his own work to kind of help Jeff out. I thought they had a nice match. I don't know if it needed to be as long as it was. I'm being generous with that phrasing because I thought Jeff worked hard and I don't want to be rude, but you know, I think could have done with a trim. But yeah, I actually thought it was quite a good match. I think it was. Was this the? Maybe I'm saying something insane here, but was this the best match on the show? Do you think? What do you reckon?
Oh no, bro! Like anytime I'm like, no, I don't even say critical. It's just what's the word, cynic or whatever. Yeah, the bar wasn't. All I'm gonna say is that the bar wasn't that high last night.
No, I'm just saying, you know, with that bar,
maybe it might have been.
I think it was.
What does that mean? It was like
still kind of funny though.
3.25. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it was the best match on the show. I'm pretty convinced it's more that I think about it.
Crowd was up for it.
Yeah, I can't pretend that I'm desperate to see more Jeff Hardy singles matches, but like for what he did here, I thought he was pretty good.
The bumps scare me, man. But the crowd always eats it up, and you chase the crowd reaction. It's a vicious cycle. But all is right in the world when the women in the crowd pop for Jeff Hardy taking his shirt off still in the year of 2024. So
very
funny.
Very interesting scenes at AEW Dynamite in Savannah, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
They had a real interesting taste in what was going on in that show.
Jeff was super over. Like he always is.
Yeah.
He was super over last night. He's one of the most over guys on the show, like legitimately. So
yeah, man. It's right, the thing, it's crazy to think like the momentum he had in his last few months in WWE before he left under very unfortunate circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So of course a lot of people kind of hoping his AEW run would go a certain way in terms of him kind of like getting that last drop of like almost like a main event run, you know. Like, there was talks of him facing Roman Reigns towards his the end of his WWE run because he just all of a sudden just picked up this random momentum. And when you're deemed a legend the way that Jeff Hardy is, especially from the era that Jeff Hardy was a legend in, there's always that chance that you might just like, you know, just catch fire and people just like decide, oh, Jeff's the man again, you know. So yeah, seeing him kind of have back-to-back decent singles matches on TV, it's nice to see because his entire AEW run hasn't exactly, I've used this phrase a lot already tonight, but he hasn't set the world on fire, you know. It's
really hasn't.
Yeah.
You can tell with what Matt Hardy's wearing on TV, like outfit-wise, that he's slimmed down a little bit again. So I fear what they are getting geared up for, to be honest.
Oh man, that books program.
I'll be right back again.
Yeah, I've said this before, Joe, but I do think there is a part of the Young Bucks that this year want to kind of make. I think they know that Hardy's match wasn't great, to say the least, and I think they kind of want to make up for it. And
they
have
did two of them though, bro. They did two of them. Remember?
I just think that they're gonna. I think in 2024, I would not be very surprised if we got Young Bucks versus Hardys again.
Look, I was the only fucker who liked those matches, so I haven't got a problem with it. But I vividly remember last year we reviewed a Dynamite with one of those matches, and I was the only one who liked it. So if they want to keep doing it as an annual tradition, I think that'd be a mistake. But yeah.
I think it's like it's not on the top of my wish list. It's just I just think it's something that I could see happening in 2024.
Oh, yeah, it probably will. It probably will.
We'll see how it plays out, man. But yeah, Jeff has looked pretty decent the past 2 weeks. I do worry about how much he's hurting right now, though.
Oh yeah, he looks in agony. He looks in absolute agony. But...
I'm telling you, it's not good. It's not good. Okay, so Strickland defeats Jeff Hardy. Backstage interview with Adam Page, which is quickly interrupted by Swerve Strickland, who's just wrestled his match. And they are both told that next week that they will be having, dealer's choice matches, meaning that Swerve can pick Hangman. Is it opponent and stipulation or just one or the other?
I'm not sure. I think it's, I need to
we can pretend it's both. So, like, Swerve can pick Hangman's match next week and Hangman can pick Swerve's match next week. So, of course, the intrigue will be who and what matches that they have next week, you know? So, do you think anyone gets brought in from outside of AEW, Joe?
I kind of think... I think if you're not bringing someone from outside in, you want to announce this pretty quick. You don't want to go into Wednesday with, like, who's it going to be, and it's just guys on the roster, right? I think if by the start of next week's Dynamite, I think if it's not announced, people are going to expect it to be like newcomers. So I think maybe one, especially with all the free agents that just emerged. I don't really know who, though, necessarily. Like, maybe this is a spot for a Shelton X Benjamin. I think that's feasible. Other than that, like I don't know who would be the obvious candidate, but yeah, I like the idea. It's also something that AEW, and as far as I know, have not done, right? AEW never done this gimmick before. I mean, it's a familiar TV play, but yeah, I think they've never done it. So I like it, and I think it fits their feud. I like the way they're keeping those guys interacting with each other and building to this thing. I'm really intrigued how they actually cross that bridge to the triple threat match. Like, is one of them going to get a single shot Joe first? It's like I'm intrigued. It feels like there's going to be like a detour along the way, but yeah, I'm interested. I'm not sure who it's going to be though.
Charlie, any predictions for the Dealer's Choice matches next week?
Oh, well, I have people that I would love for it to be, like Shingo, but I know he's not free because he's wrestling in Japan like 12 hours later, so that's not going to happen. You know who isn't wrestling in Japan 12 hours later? El Desperado, Tony. Do me a solid, bring him in for a match. I've only been asking for like a year. But realistically, I agree with what Joe said. It is probably going to be people, maybe not necessarily on the roster if they don't announce it before Dynamite goes live. So, yeah, I don't know. It's exciting though. I like things like this. I hope it's fun, people.
Who are established allies of these two? Is there anyone out there that's like an actual... that would make like storyline sense? Because it doesn't have to. It could just be they hire someone to try and beat up the other guy. But like, is there anyone? Yeah. Is there anyone who's out there that's like
American Embassy call with LFI? Have I just made that up?
There was definitely a segment where Prince Nana was like doing a deal with them. Yeah, but I can't remember if it ended with them being mad at each other. Like, you looking for some Leona, brother?
Hangman Adam Page, obviously the elite, goes without saying.
Yeah, they got all the connections to Japan.
Top Dollar talk in the chat.
Amen.
Look,
Amen.
Put
all
my foot down.
Amen.
I'm saying is
Put my foot down.
the reaction would
Absolutely.
be fucking hilarious, and the match would be even funnier, which is saying something. Could you imagine?
Out of all the free agents, that is not the top of my list. So,
Parker Boudreaux.
oh god.
Hey, yo.
Actually, I'll take the Top Dollar match. I think.
Alright, we'll see who Swerve and Page choose for each other. Next up though was Thunder Rosa versus Red Velvet, and another interesting match here, to be honest, because I thought it actually got off to a pretty alright start, and in the closing stretch, it genuinely just kind of fell apart. It's quite unfortunate, and that is kind of the taste that gets left in your mouth coming out of the match, you know. Well, he wasn't terrible from start to finish or anything like that. It's just that last sequence at the end was, you know, that's not to say it was perfect up until then, but that's when it became super apparent, you know.
Yeah.
Got tough at the end, Joe.
Yeah, I had the exact same take on this. I watched the first couple minutes of it. I was like, it's going pretty well, and then they hit a bump in the road at some point where everything they were doing looked slower and looked sort of like they were
on
second
different
guessing.
pages. Yeah,
it was like starter steps and I think you saw the rust of Thunder Rosa here, which is understandable. It was more noticeable here, honestly, than it was in the Queen of Monarch match, a lot more. Partly because Queen just whenever Rosa was like feeling the pace, Queen would just hit her really hard. So it was a different vibe. So yeah, it kind of fell apart. Unfortunately. So yeah, I like both talents, and Red usually is very, very reliable in these kind of roles, honestly. But this just didn't. It did not. It started with like decent building blocks, and then it very much kind of fell away, and it was a shame. It wasn't long either, which makes it kind of more alarming that it kind of fell off the way it did. So yeah, not a particularly good match, unfortunately.
Yeah, something just wasn't clicking with the two of them. I just don't know whether. Like, I'm guessing they laid it out beforehand and maybe things just didn't quite go to plan. Like, I don't know. I don't think it was, overly offensive. It just wasn't very good. Red Velvet isn't on TV all the time. Thunder Rosa's, 3 matches deep? And, only 2 of them have been singles, so...
Yeah.
In terms of her comeback. Oops.
It was also, a case of when the work got loose, it's one of those cases where the crowd... being the way it was, exacerbated it, right? Like once they got on different pages and they were out of a rhythm, the lack of heat it felt like an issue for them to get back on track.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a shame.
Yeah. But yeah, Thunder Rosa, she got the job done. Because she doesn't run a social media anymore. Whenever she wins on TV, a social media account posts it's like when a footballer scores and the club account posts. It's like a graphic of Thunder Rosa and it says "We won." It's just I am a big fan of Thunder Rosa and her social media too.
They need to do when she loses, they have to do a serious face with back to the drawing board, we go again next week, one of those.
Oh, God bless.
Big fan of Thunder Rosa, even if she's a little, showing a couple signs of rust. I think it's more than fair considering she's been out for well over a year, So
yeah, exactly.
And it's only a second singles match, and And as much as I love Thunder Rosa, and I actually do enjoy her matches, and I think she's actually a good worker, especially when she's up to speed. But she isn't it's not like she's a super. It's not like how Serena Deeb's coming back.
Yeah.
But Serena Deeb is super sharp, really efficient, just smart, good, technically sound, flawless wrestler in that sense. Thunder Rosa's a bit more rough around the edges, and it's more kind of the energy she brings and the intensity and things like that. So. It doesn't surprise me that she's had a few, rough moments here and there in making a comeback this year. So we'll see. There's no doubt in my mind that she'll get back up to speed sooner rather than later. But it was quite a bad injury that she's coming back from. So I got patience with Thunder Rosa, man. I think she's earned it. Yeah, Darby Allin and Sting live promo. This was so Alan comes out here and talked about how Sting possibly may not have it, and doubts that Sting had, and how they worked out together, and they decided to become a tag team, and now they're 27-0. And Alan asked Sting the big question: do you want to finish your career as an AEW tag team champion? And Sting just grabbed the mic and said, "Yeah." And that was it. That was it. The Bucks were shown backstage, looking at the monitors and doing things, and putting
Talk about the terrible
faces.
shots. God bless.
Yeah, and
EVPs, bro.
yeah, this was I was fascinated by it. It was almost like Sting walked out there, saw the house, and was like,
He posed with the Sting cosplayer front row, and that was the best part of the segment, honestly. God bless.
Not a lot to this one. I don't know if you guys have anything to add. But...
Darby was waffling. Like, bro, we know that you're going for the tag titles, essentially. What are you talking about? Why are we doing this whole fanfare? Like, just come out, say you want the belts, and let's get on with it. What was this 10-minute promo about? Like,
so, like, I agree with you both, but also maybe this was Beast.
You just want to
like, they basically just gave Savannah an entrance. And then as Charlie mentioned, like, Darby kind of just talked in circles. It was like, what do you think, Sting? And Sting was like, hell yeah, bro. And then they just hit their music again. And I was like, it was straight. It honestly did feel like Sting just didn't have anything to say. And Darby was like, I guess I'll do it. It's like, here's this one line about being all in. And, but I think with Sting, it's like, not to say the segment was good, but there is like, if ever there was a wrestler on the roster that people actually are happy to just see the entrance, it actually is Sting. So I guess for the people in Savannah, I guess maybe it was fun.
I wouldn't give his segment a down. No,
it was like it was just weird, wasn't it? It was like
I can
felt like there was missing something.
Knowing what it's building to, like, and knowing like this is his last appearance in this area, like send him out. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But Darby, bro, what was you waffling about?
Darby had this line about like, when he does the media, and he's like, everyone asks me. They also say I should be more careful in there because I'm going to retire at 30, but that's not my point. And the crowd was like, it wasn't that the line was bad. It was just, it was not the house to be doing some stand up in front of, it was like, but I am excited for the match, and more importantly, the moment that's going to end the match. I think I'm not saying the match is going to be a classic or anything, but the moment when the finish happens should be pretty special, I think so.
Hopefully. Yeah, if it goes as expected, with Sting and Darby getting those belts, taking them into Revolution.
Is there anything significant about Phoenix, Arizona? Because that's where they're running the match. I'm just interested.
I don't know. Good question.
That's
he's had such a long career. He's had such a long career that there's probably something, but like it isn't. I don't think of it as like, oh, that was when Sting. I would have, Savannah is more of a Sting market because of it's kind of WCW.
After the show, I was just looking at WrestleTix. I was just like, damn, this is probably the best moving Dynamite, like in the lead up that they can do the match on. So that's probably why it's there. And if they get the boots on the ground market, it running with the idea of, oh, this will be your last chance to ever see Sting try and win a belt. I'll be like, yeah, damn, I've got to be there.
Yeah, it's a bigger market, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I next week is Ricky Stark's hometown. I guess that explains they won't do it there. So it seems like something that kind of fell into their lap. And I mean, I say it every time he wrestles. Maybe I'm just being a coward, but I am increasingly concerned about the Stinger, and I just hope he makes it out okay, because like when this match happens, we're going to be under a month away, and it's like, hopefully everything goes well in terms of his physical health. So
yeah, man, the challenge is out there. Ricky Starks and Big Bill backstage accepted the challenge. So as we mentioned, in 2 weeks' time, Ricky Starks, Big Bill defend the AEW Tag Team Championships against Darby Allin and Stinger. Yeah, man.
looks like big potential for Darby Allin and Sting to be taking those tag belts into Revolution.
God,
Yeah.
they should put the Bucks on commentary. I think it'd be so funny. God bless. Even if you just send one of them out, one producing, one on commentary, it'd just be such a funny visual.
The idea you could do some stuff with them as EVPs.
No, yeah,
I
there's
think.
always- yeah. There's a lot of. Hopefully, they actually get into it, and it's not just kind of loads of obviously you can't complain at pre-tapes here and there. Like, not everything can be live and grandiose, you know what I mean? But the Young Bucks last year, that was definitely one of the criticisms that even some of their own fans were throwing towards them. But it's just like, they're just kind of short for a pre-tape, and know. But I think there's definitely a lot of things they can tap into with this, and hopefully the new character and stuff kind of like gives them like that drive to want to just like be all over the shows and shit. So man. But like I said, so far so good with the Bucks, and I'm not mad at them having Sting's retirement match, like we assume is going to be announced. I don't know, in the next 3 weeks or so, probably very soon.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be very special. I think Sting could be wrestling anyone, and it'd be cool because of the atmosphere. But the Bucks, like that match, I think is going to be. If there is a great match left in Sting, the Young Bucks will find it.
Revolution,
Yeah. Because most of these, like, his stuff's fun because it's Sting and he's insane, but a lot of it's a little shaky at times. But if he can have like the epic closing match, I think we'll find out Revolution.
AEW Trios Championship, the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn defeat the Mogul Embassy. They get some help from the Bullet Club Gold as well. The Bang Bang Scissor Gang showing some harmony, coming together for a good cause of keeping their trios belts. Man, it's not really a lot to write home about this one, but anything to add, Charlie?
Nah. they wrestled. Listen, people were getting a bit spiteful online about people that weren't enjoying the storyline. And bro, I know where it's leading to. I know that one of the teams is going to turn on the other and it's probably going to be the Bullet Club Gold that do it. That doesn't mean I have to enjoy the ride. I can still criticize the story because it's bad. I don't enjoy it. But anyways, Jay White helping him cheat. Yeah, at least they're still doing stuff on TV, I guess. God bless.
The kind of unfortunate part of this is I quietly think that there's actually some money in Bullet Club Gold as baby faces.
But I don't need people to the Acclaim.
No, we agree on that. I'm just saying, I think we all know this angle is going to lead to them turning on the Acclaim, which is fine. But I'm looking at it and I'm kind of like, maybe they should just be baby faces. Like, the entrance is cool, I don't know. Yeah. But it was okay. I think the Acclaim would benefit greatly from going back to having tag team matches where Billy just simply stands at ringside. I think they were trending. Yeah, they were trending very positively as a traditional tag, and Billy's Billy's impressive for his age, but he still is you can only do so much, right? It's going to be a very simple match. And he's also the big man of the team. So they all just kind of get the shit kicked out of him until Billy cleans house. It's just a weird. I find it to be a strange dynamic. I know the people love it, so God bless. Maybe it's just me, but I think they'd benefit from becoming a tag team again here pretty shortly, and Billy just being their manager.
Yeah, I agree. But Billy's not getting any younger, and it's not like he's No, there's not a dying need to see him wrestle. It's more just people pop for his presence and him being with the Acclaim, not so much him.
I agree.
They built a trios match at Wembley Stadium around the fact that Billy Gunn was retiring. How funny is that in hindsight?
That match, there's a spot in that match where they build this perfect finish. I think Billy hits the famouser or something. Mm-hmm. And they kicked out of it, and it went on, and they did more. And I remember thinking, why? Why is there a finishing stretch on the end of this Billy Gunn Wembley Stadium match? But that was quite the deal. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
sure
quite the
was.
deal.
Just
Speaking of
pops me
old
at this.
guys,
Yeah.
speaking of the old gnarly,
Ah,
what did Edge call it? Two old gnarly, grizzled, mean bastards. You know, Adam Copeland versus Minoru Suzuki in the main event of AEW Dynamite. Took a few moments for Miles to adjust to this. To be honest. It was surreal in that sense, not in the sense of like, oh my god, this is a dream match I've been waiting for years. It was more like it wasn't necessarily like a dream match. It was more just something I never expected to see. You
Yeah.
know,
yeah.
Something you'd never even considered. Like, it's not even one of those things like I'm never going to see this. I never thought that I would. I never considered these two people did the same thing. It's like they're in
Mhm.
different worlds, you know. Like it's yeah, it was, and especially because like stylistically they're so far apart, and Cope is tall, right? So like it just
Mhm.
looks weird. Everything about this was strange. A lot of novelty in this for sure.
good though.
Yeah,
It was a lot of
it's
fun.
fun. Yeah, it's
It was fun. He didn't blow me away. Like,
right. It was what
it's
you
not like
expect.
it's not because obviously I think the novelty is what a lot of the hype around the match was, rather than
Mhm.
Yeah.
kind of like hype. This is going to be a 4.5-star Dynamite match, you know. And
Yes.
yeah, man, in that sense, he delivered a pretty good main event, but not the best main event that you've ever seen. You know, a nice little thing, nice decent match. Probably a lot of people's favorite match on the show.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
not. Is it
I'm fine with
all
that.
three of the matches? Like Adam Copeland versus Suzuki,
Mm-hmm.
Swerve Jeff, Hangman Penta were all decent matches. I
Yeah.
thought like none
Yeah.
of them were
Mhm.
like hard, but like it's very rare that I come out of an AEW Dynamite and there isn't really a match I would recommend. Do you know,
Right.
I'd probably
Yeah.
recommend Suzuki versus Copeland just based on like novelty,
I
you know.
agree. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But outside of that, there's not really anything I'd rush to anyone to put in their spreadsheet or whatever the fuck, you know.
Right. It's I love Minoru Suzuki dearly. But like, he has his match, and that's absolutely fine. He's
Yeah,
55 years old, he's entitled to it. He's not particularly keen on falling down, which I can only respect. I also am not keen on that. So, like you have to do the Suzuki match, and I thought Cope had a good go of it. Like he did the forearm deal, the chops, he did the
Yeah.
stagger sells, the funny faces. Suzuki's transition to the choke is genuinely one of the funniest things he's ever done, and that covers
Yes.
some ground. Where he like scooted himself back, like that was funny. Copeland had a hell of a sell in the choke,
Mhm.
which I was
Suzuki
telling you.
Seller the kill switch was fucking hilarious.
Indeed, it was. I was telling before the show, like the choke was so believable that when Copeland won, my dad was like, "They robbed Suzuki. He had him beat. Referee should have stopped it. Like it was a shoot, which popped me." So shout out to Cope for that. And as you mentioned, Charlie, on 2 different occasions, Suzuki just like refused to fall down, which was very
Yeah.
beast. Um, the way he took, I actually have never seen a wrestler take a DDT the way he took this because
Just,
Kane used to take it on his knees. Like he would always drop to
mhm.
his knees, but Suzuki didn't drop to his. He like just straightened his leg out, and, like stood up, and then went
Yeah,
down. It was
it was very
fascinating.
bizarre.
Yeah, but it was a fun match. I mean, it's exactly what I expected it to be, and they
Yeah.
didn't. They knew the right length, fun novelty. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
yeah, it was enjoyable time, wasn't it, Charlie?
It sure was. It made me laugh a lot. And sometimes when wrestling is as absurd as putting Suzuki and Adam Copeland in a ring together, that's all you can hope for. It was just an incredibly absurd visual, and I had a lot of fun with it. And it didn't overstay its welcome. They didn't try to make it a fucking classic, which a small part of me was a little bit worried about. But Adam Copeland has adjusted well to his run at AEW, and he seems very aware of where he fits in the roster, what sort of stuff he can do. Like when it comes to things like this, he seems very aware of the right way to approach it, and he seems like he's having a great time. And that's all you can ask for, man. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, he definitely is having a good time. I think he said as much in I think it was Sports Illustrated article that came out yesterday before Dynamite, where it was just kind of like
whenever he's thinking about how to describe his time in AEW so far, the word fun just keeps coming to mind, and he's looking forward to having more fun, and he's just having fun right now, you know. But yeah, like even his Suzuki match, it was just something that he went to Tony Khan with. Can we book this? Tony Khan was like, I'll try and see what I can do, and he booked it up, brother. You know, he booked it. Edge didn't even know. Copeland, sorry. Didn't even know. Moxie went up to him in the back and was like, yo, you're wrestling Suzuki. Yeah, speaking of running, and even the way it was announced, bro, like it just randomly popped up in the corner of Collision. Yeah. And similarly, that happened again last night. Bryan Danielson, Yuji Nagata, fucking pops up in the corner, and the timeline explodes. Those who are, are aware of the caliber of athlete we're dealing with here with Yuji Nagata, Joe. You know,
yeah, he's still got it.
This is an animal. You know, this is an animal. Wasn't he recently like GHC or Triple Crown? It was one of them.
Triple Crown, yeah. Champ. Some really good matches too. He's still got it. Man. Like, obviously, like, relative, but like, I actually think him and Dragon will be like. And again, I don't mean this to slight Suzuki and Copeland, but I don't think that will be a case of just like novel. I think that match will actually be really good. Like,
yeah, definitely.
And there's obviously a few differences there, but I do think it'll be really good. Yeah, I mean, Collision is the damage that the fellas in that cage match are going to do to each other, considering where wrestling is going to be looking that night, is actually like unhinged, but they wouldn't have it any other way, I think. So you add this, you got yourself a nice meal there on the Collision. The Colliders once again, probably. Like yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, man, clashing with the Royal Rumble obviously isn't the most ideal, but. Someone asked what cage match. They're doing like an elimination cage match, bro. FTR, House of Black, Garcia. We're they've loaded up the show considering, it's probably not going to do great. I think that's by any means in terms of live viewership. I'm not sure how big the house is, but it's
the real fans.
I appreciate the swing,
Yeah. It's only right to UG returning to WCW after all these years. So we're glad to have him back on the team.
I think Tony Khan should book Bryan Danielson against Blue Panther.
I agree.
He wants it.
I mean, like, they've been talking about this match for like the better part of 4 months now.
Yeah,
so.
That's what I mean. He wants it, so.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a WWE pay-per-view, Bryan should get to do one of his like insane matches, like his unhinged wish list matches.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I'm down.
I'm pretty sure there's a Collision in Texas in like 2 weeks. Tony, book it. It's close enough.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, we got again. Do you think we've been having a couple super chat issues this evening, people? Gonna look into that definitely. But shout out Boris, £2. Joe, can we get Papa Holmes on a show?
It'd have to be pre-recorded and very
expensive.
Have to be ready to edit some, I think. I don't know. I could let him run wild on live stream. Very old,
But yeah, man. Gonna look into this super chat issue. Some of you are claiming to have, and we're gonna hopefully get it sorted over the weekend or whatever the fuck. We've reviewed AEW Dynamite. Not quite the level of Dynamite, but the previous 2 weeks were. I really enjoyed those shows. As Joe mentioned, this was more kind of like a 6 out of 10 filler episode, but still nothing disgusting on it.
It progressed.
There's nothing I deem as WrestleCraft. That did do some story advancement, especially with Deanna.
It's the kind of show that like doing something like this and reviewing it segment by segment, it feels worse. Like if you actually just watch the show, I found it personally to be like a totally fun couple of hours to spend time. It doesn't necessarily translate to like what are the interesting ideas. You know what I'm saying? It's like it was kind of it was vaguely Collision in that sense. There's been a lot of collisions like that, especially in recent months where it's like I had fun. I don't really need to talk about it, but it was fun. This had a little bit of that vibe. Was my take, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah. It was pretty fun to watch on the watch along. We were popping for the stuff you pop for, and we were just talking shit a lot of it, so good times.
Yes. Montgomery's muted, I don't know who knows.
It's been a an interesting AEW Dynamite reviews coming to this evening, people. Because not only just that regarding AEW Dynamite, it's just kind of obviously the general mood of the day with everything that came out earlier with the Vince McMahon lawsuit was just kind of like that's enough to throw you off anyway. Then just kind of try and then deviate to doing the AEW Dynamite review like we tried to do today. But when the AEW Dynamite itself, even without that lawsuit coming out today, would have been to break it down segment by segment the way that we do the shows because of the type of show it was. It wouldn't have been the most explosive Dynamite review you've ever seen from us. Again, when you throw in the news of the day and the mood of the day as well, it's been quite, we're kind of just going through it segment by segment. Nothing really made us hit the roof,
Right. It's a weird show there, and as we said at the top of the program, like we discussed it before, kind of how we were going to approach it, and this is what we settled on. If it wasn't for you, we totally get it. But we talk about Dynamite here, and that's kind of what we ended up doing for the best we could. We hope it was vaguely entertaining. Wrestling's a strange, very frustrating, very sad beast sometimes, but you kind of, I don't know. I think we all kind of came into this like kind of unsure of how to approach it, right? But this is what we came up with, and
understatement, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Barry's £2. Montel, can we get Papa Williams on the show? And then he says that he's had too many wines, and he meant Jordan.
Who's that?
Montel Williams and Montel Jordan. Montel Jordan is a singer, and Montel Williams is a chat show host. Neither of which are my father. We have the same first name. We have the same first name, not the same last name, and that's not quite how it works.
Sincere request. I was very confused. I was like, whose dad is that? Williams? I was scanning the roster, like what?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, couldn't think of who.
Apparently there's an awful basketball coach called Monty Williams as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. If you name my dad on a wrestling podcast, that's a big fee, brother. You think Papa Hulbert actually watches wrestling?
Yeah.
Alright, man. Is there anything else AEW related?
AEW related.
If we say WWE related, the Rumble's coming up this week, and we're not really going to do the prediction show. It's not really, I don't want to be jumping up and down about WWE at the moment. I'm quite.
Big news out of BritWres. Have you seen that Rev Pro's going back to York?
Oh,
really?
Joe,
yeah.
You didn't see it.
You didn't see they're going back to York.
I'm so back.
Me and Charlie were DMing each other. It was beautiful scene.
The amount of enjoyment I got out of that announcement is quite sick, to be honest. But huge.
When that wanted man Nick Nemeth graphic appears on my timeline,
Nick Nemeth in York.
I'll make the trip all.
I was going to imagine. I'm going to get the whole family out for that one. I'm going to book the whole front row.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and my brother are going.
We've
settled it.
Wonderful.
Tickets aren't even out yet, but we've decided.
Respect. We had to fight against that arena, that location shift they were working with for a while there. Couldn't.
I just kept bitching about Crystal Palace. Got to get through one more show, and Mustafa Ali's on the show, so I'll be all right. Shingo's on the show as well, and he's wrestling Gabe Kidd, so.
Oh, that'll be good.
And Jan said Monty and Joe looking enthusiastic in the crowd, part DOS.
Oh, mate.
It's alright, I
can't.
We had a hell of a time. That was great.
Zora Hart is answering a question from like 20 minutes ago in the live chat about the super chat. It's like, bro. Come on.
Super chats. Monty, do you remember when I was shoot concerned that the Usos were going to get beat in the main event of Money in the Bank? I started talking about it like it was the FA Cup.
Listen, bro, I was yeah, I was reassuring you, bro. You
You
know,
were. So it's over. It's very funny day. Very funny day.
in the middle ring. Oh, no, mate. You know. Anyway, all right, okay. So, like I said, tomorrow, very much that we do. Well, we're not doing the Raw Rumble prediction show in the Friday slot. I don't know if we are going to do a show tomorrow. We might do a, I don't know, review some Lex Luger. I don't know.
Probably not, but yeah.
We'll see what the mood's saying tomorrow. You know, we'll do a rain check and we'll see where it goes, people. You know, if there's any content suggestions. Someone asked me, am I going Wembley for Chelsea? Probably not this year. I'm not feeling very blue these days. You know, little effort, little League Cup final in Wembley. It's been one. There's been worse seasons, I guess, like last season. But anyway, don't want to bore you with Chelsea depression. Is there anything else I want to touch on? I think we're good. Someone said TNA review. No, thank you. ROH review. No, thank you. Someone said review The Observer after Dave calls Lexis King a main eventer. No, thank you. Barry says thanks for doing a silly and sensible show. Appreciate WrestlePurists. We appreciate you as well. Barry's gimmick in the chat. So Jizzle, percentage that Mercedes is at the Royal Rumble. I'm gonna say, obviously this isn't a scoop. I'd like to think that our audience still watching this is more than aware of that. This isn't a scoop. Very low, but not completely out of the question. So I'm not going to say like 1%. I'm going to say 15% chance.
Say like 8. So.
I was going to say 5. Now I'm scared. I'm the low man. It's scary.
I don't.
Listen, when 15's the high number, it's like, you know.
Might be at the Rumble to support Bailey. I don't think she'll be in the Rumble.
Yeah, that is actually very much possible, especially if Bailey knows that she's winning the Rumble. If that is the case, like I know a lot of people have got her as a favourite. I think she's the bookie's favourite as well. You know, if obviously Bailey's got that news and she's like, "Yo, Mercedes, I'm gonna win a Rumble." I'm sure she'd want to be there, innit? Because that's kind of what that little clique does of like Mercedes, Trinity, Bailey. They support each other in the big moments that they have, which is it's always really cool when I get pictured. And Mercedes is in like big shades up in the crowd, like a hard to kill.
God bless.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's been a weird show. You know, it's kind of awkward to try and navigate and find the right words without umming and erring too much, which I'm sure I did a lot of at the start of the show because it was hard to kind of like segue from where we was at into Kevin Patrick's been released. You know, like it was a weird transition, but once we got there, I think we kind of, you know, we did what we could, you know. But anyway, we may be back tomorrow, but kind of unlikely to be honest. We've got a few new Tiger style shorts on the shorts part of our channel, so check those out. We're going to be posting more of those Tiger style X WrestlePurists. Awesome. But yeah, man, that's shorts don't get much better, do they? You know, when you got Tiger style on the team.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I didn't know the first one was dropping when it did. I was just like, oh shit, what?
Yeah, we just dropped it, fuck it. You know, because that's the way shorts are, bro. Shorts is just like YouTube throws it onto the algorithm and it's like it either catches on or it doesn't. So like you can promote it all you want. Like you might get a few extra, you might get like a few hundred views at the start or something. But like ultimately it's not gonna matter that much. So you just throw it out there, hope the algorithm catches it. And at the moment I think the Daniel Garcia one's the most viewed out of the 2 or 3 we've posted, so shout out to Augustar, man. He's fucking talented as fuck, bro.
We love Julian around here.
I was saying to Ibu yesterday, like, this isn't even like a shot at AEW necessarily, but like his videos genuinely like make AEW wrestlers look cooler than like what AEW does. You know? Yes. But that's more just like praising Tiger Star because he's very good at what he does. Anyway, kind of waffling on here. We're getting out of here. Please like, subscribe. Appreciate the few super chats that we got. Gonna look into what was going on with a few of you that are having problems getting them sent in. And yeah, again, maybe back tomorrow, maybe back over the weekend, maybe a watch along, maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, keep an eye on the page. We'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Peace.